Welcome back to Life in Pixels. Thanks so much for joining me. Today I'm going to be continuing my series on reimagining all of the lots from the Sims Bustin Out with Pixel Acres. Y'all, I think this was the one that I have been looking forward to doing the absolute most since I began this series. I had been thinking about doing this series for quite a long time before I actually got around to doing it, and this is one of the lots I was looking forward to remaking the most. So if you are not familiar with The Sims Bustin' Out, if you've never played it, or if it's just been like a really long time, Pixel Acres was one of the livable locations that your sim could move to in the game, and it was a nudist camp or a nudist colony, and 15-year-old me thought that was absolutely hilarious. And also made me mildly embarrassed at the same time because I was always fearful that my mom would walk into my room while I was playing The Sims and she would see these like nude little Sims. Of course, they had pixels, you know, around their private bits the way they still do today. But I was just nervous because my mom would have probably been like, what the heck are you playing? Like, why are there naked people walking around? Because sometimes she could be a little bit conservative. I don't know, she might have just laughed, but I was always like nervous at the prospect. So I don't remember her ever like walking in when I was playing this particular location. So I think we were golden. If that ever happened, she never said anything. So either way, we're still good. But yeah, having a nudist camp in The Sims is just one of those like fun little quirky things that older Sims games used to do that we're kind of missing right now in The Sims 4. I know a lot of people talk about it, so I'm not going to harp on it. I love The Sims 4 for what it is, but it definitely misses some of those like little quirky things that some of the older games had. And this was definitely one of those more risque moments. So the inhabitants of this nudist camp was a guy by the name of Chase Skirts, which I don't think I understood like the irony or the pun at the time when I was younger, but now that I'm an adult, Chase Skirts, that is just such a kitschy little like name. And then a girl by the name of Yin Yangst, and I don't really remember too much about them. Like some of these Sims really stick out in my mind from this game, and then other ones not so much, and these are the not so much kind. From all I remember is like the male character Chase, I'm pretty sure wore khakis and like a vest when he did have on clothes, and he had like this long flowing reddish brown hair. And that's about it. That's all I remember from these Sims. I don't remember anything about their personality or whatever, but I will be looking that up in the future when I go to recreate them in cast, because I have been starting to recreate the characters. Well, kind of reimagine like I do with the lots, kind of give them a little bit of an updated look. It's just really heavily inspired by them. So eventually I will get around to making them, so I will look them up in more detail at that time. But anyway, on to this current build. So again, inspired heavily by Pixel Acres from Bustin' Out, and this is a nudist campground in Granite Falls. And so I definitely put the clothing optional trait for this lot that we got in I believe we got it in the free update right before Island Living. We got that new lot trait for clothing optional. So that's how you're going to be able to turn this into a clothing optional campground. So maybe don't send your Sims here in the winter because they will probably freeze. Also because there's only like tents to sleep in here. So yeah, don't send them here in the winter. They probably won't work out too well. But I have been waiting to do this one, and even though it was the one I was looking the most forward to building, I put it off because I'm just kind of like weird and a little like OCD-ish when it comes to doing things in a certain order. And so I had it in my mind that I wanted to recreate these lots in the order that you unlock them and visit them in the original Bustin' Out game. And so this is one of the later ones that you can unlock in the game. So it's one of the later ones that I have built. So I know I could have built this one a long time ago, but again, I'm just a little weird, and so I've been putting it off. But here it is. So a couple of things that I changed from the original is like I moved the bathrooms to be next to each other. Originally there was like, they were far apart, and so I kind of moved them to be closer together. Updated the kitchen area a little bit. There was a hot springs in the original one, and I know we have that pond thing from Get Famous, and I thought about using it, but then ultimately I decided to go ahead and use a hot tub instead of the hot springs. And then we had a tether ball that came in the original lot of this, and a ping pong table. So we do have the ping pong table, which I was able to put in. We don't have tetherball anymore, so that is taken out, and I put in horseshoes out here. I put a couple of guitars. I put one of the like card tables that came with Outdoor Retreat that's supposed to look like a folding card table, so that's out here. And we have a fire like pit, so your Sims can sit around, they can roast marshmallows and stuff. I included the chess table from Outdoor Retreat. So there's quite a few activities that you can do here. I also put a couple of woohoo bushes like on the lot, so you can have woohoo in the tent, in the bush. There's bathrooms, but you can also use the restroom in the bush, whatever you need to do. So I just wanted to add a whole bunch of outdoor activities. I put the keg from Discovery University as well. There's a bar here. I don't remember if there was a bar in the original one. I don't think there was, but I decided that that would be a good touch to add. So yeah, lots of activities, and it was honestly kind of hard to just do this big outdoor lot. I have issues with landscaping, and if you've watched some of my other builds, I usually keep the landscaping pretty minimal because it's just, I don't know, not my strong suit. And then having all of this just big kind of undefined space was a little bit of a challenge. Like when I went into this one, I was like, oh, this is gonna be the easiest recreation that I have done yet. And I mean, honestly, it probably was the easiest just because it's not a house and it's outdoors, so there's ultimately less items here. But it wasn't as easy as I originally thought. I always go into these things like way too overconfident, and I'm always like, oh, that'll only take me like an hour or two, and then it ends up taking like a bajillion hours. This one actually I think only did take 2 hours, which for me, I'm usually a pretty slow builder, so that was quite impressive. So props to me on that. But I don't know, something about having just this gigantic outdoor space to just fill with things with no like defined areas like you have in a house with like walls and stuff. It was a little intimidating, but I do like the way it turned out in the end. Right now, I did create this little kind of office area. In the original build, there was a little indoor area that had a chair and a bookcase, and so I wanted to leave that space in. I changed it up a little bit, so when you get to this campground, you do have to go in through this little front office building and then go through the side door to get into the campground. So I figured if we're gonna base this off of any sort of like realism at all, that, you know, there are other cabins and campgrounds in Granite Falls like around the area. And so if you're having, you know, your Sims, they bring their kids and visit, they're like in the cabin or whatever, you don't want your kiddos just walking straight into the nudist campground. So we can just pretend that that's like a little check-in office. I put like a little book in there so you could like sign in or whatever. So we can use our imaginations on that, but I thought it was a cute little touch because I didn't want to, you know, get rid of that original aesthetic of having the building there. And then these little bathrooms, I of course had to add clutter. Again, if y'all have watched some of my other builds, you know that I love clutter. And another intimidating thing when I was doing this build, not only was there just like all this big undefined space, was like, where am I going to put the clutter? I had to have some clutter because I don't know, I just feel like it makes it a little more realistic. It kind of brings builds to life and adds that little extra flair and personality. And so I wanted to put some clutter. I didn't like clutter it up too much because I just didn't think that would make sense. We're not in a house, but I did have to sneak some in a little bit. So the bathroom was one of those places where I snuck in a little clutter. Here in this outdoor kitchen area, I snuck in some clutter. I always like to clutter the kitchens of my Sims builds. I don't know, like I love to cook in real life. So the kitchen is always one of the most important rooms in the house to me personally. And so I have just a ton of kitchen implements and gadgets and dishes and stuff. I mean, realistically, more than I probably need as just like a regular person that does not have a gigantic family, but it's just kind of my thing. So I usually extend that to my Sims builds and go a little ham with the kitchen clutter. And landscaping, oh my goodness. Again, big outdoor space. Like I said, landscaping, not my strong suit. And I cut a lot of it out of the like speed build portion of this because I don't know, watching a bunch of landscaping seemed boring to me. I didn't even want to watch it all back when I was editing because I was like, nobody wants to watch me place plants for like 5 minutes. So I did cut some of that out. I left a little bit of it in so you can just kind of get an idea, but there'll definitely be screenshots at the end so you can see all of the landscaping and like what it looks like when it's finished. But I did want to go ahead and add some landscaping around to make it look a little more, you know, realistically outdoors. But it was also weird because like I just have to put the landscaping around the perimeter because it will block stuff otherwise, or at least I thought it would block stuff or look weird. I don't know. If anybody has some great landscaping tips, let your girl know down below because it's not my thing, not my bag. So let me know if you got any great landscaping tips so I can kind of up that game. But I am happy with the way it came out. And these big rock pile here in the middle, that was from the original game. So I left that in as a nice little homage and touch to the original build. And I'm just finishing up here with some lighting. Definitely didn't want it to be pitch black for y'all at the nighttime. But probably your Sims will be sleeping in their tent, so it won't be like that big of a deal. But we are about up on the screenshots. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are interested in downloading this, all of my gallery information will be down below, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye!